We are live once again from Dubai International. Today is 4th of July 2026. Yeah, 4th of July 2026 here in Dubai. Evening time 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. and we are live from Dubai International. So 4th of July, the weather is really very high temperatures, but here in evening time near Dubai Creek, it feels fresh, it feels okay, it feels better because of the ocean waters and because of the Dubai Creek waters. So the wind is touching the waters, ocean waters, and then it becomes fresh. So it feels good. Let's see some latest news or breaking news from the local and international. It's Khalij Times, official newspaper from Dubai, UAE. It says that man killed in Dubai car showroom explosion identified at Indian expat. An Indian man has been identified as the person who died in the gas cylinder explosion at a car showroom in Dubai. A social worker told Khalij Times that authorities are still waiting for forensic reports to confirm the identity of the man. The company has identified him as a 27-year-old Indian man, he said, but the forensics department is still waiting for his fingerprint results to verify the man's identity. Indian media reported that the man who got married last year arrived in Dubai roughly 8 months ago. The car showroom lists the man as a multimedia marketing specialist on its website. According to a statement by the Dubai Civil Defense, 5 others were injured in the blast. Sad news, yesterday it happened. The gas cylinder explosion, the car showroom, and one person died. He was from India. He just arrived here last year. Meanwhile, 8 months ago. Meanwhile, the area around the Dubai-based car showroom wore a somber look. The air around the location carried the distinct burnt smell. The walls of the luxury car dealership located in Alcos were covered with soot. The signboards of nearby shops bore signs of damage sustained in the blast. On Monday, Dubai Civil Defense released the statement that within an hour of being notified of the incident, the authority had brought the blast under control, secured the site, and provided necessary assistance to all those involved. Khalij Times has reached out to the company for a comment, but a customer service agent said that the management of the facility was prioritizing helping the casualties and their families. Within minutes, emergency responders were on scene. An eyewitness to the event from a nearby shop said that he was in an adjoining shop when he heard the loud blast. I couldn't figure out where the sounds were coming from, but then I saw the flames at the showroom. I wanted to run over, but I was scared. Within minutes, emergency responders were on the scene. He added that after the flame was under control, investigators interviewed people on site and continued their investigation into the incident. It is not yet clear what the reason for the blast was or why there was a gas cylinder at the car showroom. Other eyewitnesses reported seeing several emergency vehicles on site. I was on the public bus driving by the area when I saw fire engines on site, said another resident. During rising UAE summer temperatures, authorities have time and again warned residents of serious risk posed by the gas cylinders if not stored, maintained, and handled properly. So, safety experts have urged residents and restaurant operators to take extra precautions when handling cooking gas to prevent accidents and fires during peak heat. Dubai police have also warned residents against dealing with unlicensed gas cylinder sellers and said that They seized 300 cylinders since the start of this year. These were seized during field campaigns for not meeting safety specifications. So sad news since yesterday, one person died in the gas cylinder explosion in the Alcos area with the luxury car showroom. Dubai businessman Satish Sanpal responds. What response? Responds to what is the problem? I don't know. Responds to the media reports of asset freeze. The Dubai-based businessman Satish Sanpal, founder and chairman of Annex Holding, said on regulatory or enforcement authorities had made any official announcement regarding allegations recently reported in the media concerning him. In a statement of police time, he urged media to verify information obtained from unofficial sources. Indian media reported that a temporary freeze of assets of Sanpal and his wife has been ordered due to a money laundering probe. Police time has reached out to the US authorities. We wish to clarify that to date, no competent enforcement or regulatory authority has issued any official announcement or public disclosure concerning the allegations being reported. You can send me your questions, you can send me your feedback in the comments. I'm waiting for your questions. Let me know from where you are watching our live, which country, which city. Let's have some chat, let's have some discussions. We kindly ask publications to exercise appropriate care in verifying information obtained from the unofficial sources before reporting or repeating such information, such a statement issued by the Annex Holdings founder. He also states that the matters referred to in recent reports do not affect the operations, governance, contractual commitments or financial arrangements of Annex Development. The group's real estate arm, the company continues to operate in the ordinary course with all projects, banking arrangements, escrow accounts and business activities remaining fully functional according to the statement. Sanpal is one of the Dubai's most recognizable Indian entrepreneurs who are building a portfolio spanning real estate, hospitality and strategic investment. He now stars alongside wife Tabinda in Netflix Desi Bling, which premiered on May 2026. The statement noted that Sanpal reserved all rights and remedies available under applicable law against any publication he considers false, misleading, defamatory, or otherwise unlawful. The statement added, saying such coverage could unjustifiably harm his reputation and business interests. So this is also the local news. Next news is US sees progress in Hormuz trade talks. Let's see this news. US sees progress in Hormuz trade talks, hopes for deal very shortly, Rubio says. Service suspended at a Saudi airport after attack claimed by Houthis. Operations were suspended on Tuesday at an airport in Saudi Arabia. A regional source with knowledge of the matter said, according to AFP, after Yemen, Iran-backed Houthis announced they had attacked the site. The regional source told AFP that the airport's main radar was hit, affecting operations. The airport website listed as unknown the status of flight schedule for the next few days. Saudi Arabia has not so far issued any comment on the claimed attack. The small airport is located near the Yemen border and has a single terminal handling a few flights per day. Aramco chief says Houthi attacks on Saudi had no material impact. Qatar says progress made towards US-Iran talks on ending the war. Wow, good news. Qatar said mediators were making progress in efforts to end the US-Iran war on Tuesday, driving oil prices lower. Although Tehran has denied US President Trump's assertion that talks are already underway, benchmark Brent crude fell more than 4% after the comments from Qatar, extending Monday's steep losses on hopes that an arrangement could soon be reached to restore traffic through the blockaded Strait of Hormuz. But for now, the strait remained virtually shut, with another ship reportedly coming under attack while trying to cross it. Trump said on Monday that talks with Tehran had started and Iran faced a last chance to reach a deal. Iranian officials insisted no negotiations with the US were taking place. Iran says its only talks are with Oman about the strait and that no major meetings were planned this week. But senior US officials stuck on optimistic tone on Tuesday with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Secretary of State Marco Rubio both pointing to progress in discussions aimed at reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson said, Majid Al-Ansari said, diplomatic contacts had reached very progressive stage. And next it says that send me your comments, send me your feedback, send me your questions in the comments, please. He said mediators including Qatar, Pakistan and Oman were coordinating closely to facilitate negotiation and exchange draft proposal between Washington and Tehran. A senior Pakistani security official said a lot is happening in the background. We are talking to both sides. Our sole goal at this moment is to make both parties at least agree to start talking. Trump's comments followed his weekend decision to cancel what he described as massive attacks on Iran, extending a pattern in which he has threatened major military action before later backing off and pointing the diplomatic contacts. US has used virtually all of its long-range precision missiles during Iran war. The US Army has used up much of its stockpile of highly accurate long-range missiles during the 5-month war with Iran, according to 3 people familiar with the data, raising concerns about the military's readiness for future conflicts. The missiles are principally the Army's surface-to-surface weapons, known as Army Tactical Missile Systems and Precision Strike Missiles. The US has used virtually all of these weapons according to 2 of the sources. The degree of which the military is running out of ATACMS and precision strike missiles has not been previously reported. The long-range ammunitions, which cost more than $1 million each, are an important part of the military arsenal, allowing accurate strikes from a safe distance. US applied ATACM have played a key role in the war in Ukraine, allowing Ukraine forces to attack targets inside Russia. The PRSM is a newer, more advanced generation that will replace the ATACM, which have a shorter range. The dramatic rundown is in precision long-term missile means US President Trump may have to rely more on riskier pallet bombing missions if he relaunched large-scale attacks on Iran. Rubio says progress made in talks with Iran to reopen Hormuz Strait. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that while there is nothing final on the Strait of Hormuz, he is hoping an agreement will happen shortly. He said that progress had been made in the talks with Iran to open the strait. किया दे Hezbollah says Lebanon talks with Israel bring shame and humiliation. Hezbollah chief said on Tuesday that direct talks between Lebanon and Israel would bring only humiliation for Lebanon and accused authorities of helping Israel, prompting Lebanon's prime minister to hit back, according to the Reuters. Lebanon and Israel were holding on Tuesday a fresh round of direct talks in Rome under U.S. sponsorship, the seventh such meeting since Hezbollah drew Lebanon into the Middle East war in March with rocket fire at Israel, which responded with heavy airstrikes and a ground invasion. All the direct negotiations will bring Lebanon nothing but shame, humiliation, disappointment, and successive concessions, Hezbollah chief said in a televised address. So, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that he expects there to be freedom of movement in the Strait of Hormuz after the deal is reached. U.S. fighter jet receives fuel while flying in the Middle East. U.S. Treasury Secretary says deal on Hormuz possible Tuesday or Wednesday. So today is Tuesday, tomorrow is Wednesday. Let's see if the deal is done between U.S. and Iran. U.S. Secretary Scott Bessent said there could be a deal reached with Iran on the reopening of the Hormuz Strait by Tuesday or Wednesday. We are in talks with the Iranians, and I think there is a chance we may have a deal today or tomorrow to open the strait and move towards a more normalized position in the conflict. Watch when Israel and Lebanese delegations entered U.S. embassy for talks. One missing as crew fights fire aboard ship hit in Hormuz security firms. So a crew member went missing while two others fought a fire aboard a vessel struck by unknown projectile in the Strait of Hormuz, the British Maritime Security Company said. Earlier, UK Maritime Trade Operation said the vessel reported being hit by unknown projectile and authorities were investigating, adding that the incident occurred 20 nautical miles northeast of Al Khashab, Oman. British Maritime Security Company Vanguard Tech identified the ship as the Liberia-flagged bulk carrier Menon Pioneer hit while transiting northbound through the Strait of Hormuz at 2 a.m. The projectile reportedly struck the engine room while fire broke out in the accommodation area. The crew are fighting the fire and require assistance, while the third engineer is reported missing. The initial distress call was relayed by the nearby Panama-flagged tanker Suriname Prosperity. So the mediator, Qatar, says efforts ongoing for Iran-US resolution. Let's see this news. Yemen's Houthis claim they attacked Saudi airport. But nonsense is going on here. Houthis are really nonsense. They are not using their brain, they are just doing nonsense things. UAE, Bahrain discuss regional developments. Lufthansa warns profits could fall amid fuel price. Trapped by war, Bangladesh seafarers recounts ordeal. Lebanon's negotiations with Israel bring shame. Aramco posts 44% rise in net profit as Iran war drives up oil prices. Ishkan says Tehran not seeking expansion of war. Oil ticks up as talks to end US-Iran war remain uncertain. Let's see the next news. The next news is mass funeral held for 112 Palestinians. Oh my God. Recovered from rubble in the Gaza city. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. The bodies belonging to members of two extended families have only recently been recovered from under the rubble in a 2-week-long operation. A mass funeral ceremony was held in Gaza city on Tuesday, August 4th, for 112 Palestinians whose remains were recently recovered from the site of an Israeli airstrike. Hundreds of Palestinians attended the funeral held among the ruins of destroyed buildings. Gaza Civil Defense Agency said Saturday its crews had recovered the bodies and remains of 112 people from beneath the rubble of homes destroyed by Israeli strikes in the Sabra neighborhoods of Gaza City. Palestinians are really suffering too much suffering. In a statement, the agency said crews had completed a search operation launched nearly 2 weeks ago in a residential block that it said the Israeli army had destroyed over its inhabitants. The agency said its crews recovered the bodies during 136 hours of arduous work carried out by over nearly 2 weeks. Mohammed Abdu Dan, who supervised the operation, said the crews were unable to recover another 157 bodies believed to remain buried beneath the rubble. The crews were digging with their hands through masses of reinforced concrete. Abu Dan said, describing the lack of equipment as the biggest obstacle to the operation. He said some bodies were trapped in concrete and steel reinforcement, which he said reflected the destructive force of the munition used. Many bodies disintegrated and evaporated because of the intensity of the explosion. Abu Dan urged humanitarian organizations to pressure Israel to allow the entry of heavy equipment needed to continue recovery efforts. The search formed part of the second phase of a project launched by the Civil Defense on July 19 to recover bodies believed to be buried beneath the rubble. Civil Defense spokesman Mahmoud Basal said at the launch of the phase that crews would spend 800 hours searching 147 destroyed homes across Gaza City and the northern and central parts of the enclave, where an estimated 1,000 bodies are believed to remain trapped. Gaza government media office said in October 2025 that about 9,500 Palestinians had been reported missing since Israel launched its offensive in October 2023, including people believed to be buried beneath Palestinian buildings. Under the first phase of the ceasefire agreement that took effect on October 10, Israel was to allow the entry of the heavy machinery needed for recovery. Gaza authorities and Palestinian factions accused Israel of failing to fulfill that obligation. The ceasefire ended 2 years of war in Gaza, during which more than 73,000 Palestinians were killed and over 174,000 injured, according to Gaza authorities. Palestinians are suffering too much suffering, Palestinians. May God help Palestine. May God help Palestine. Dirham 5,000 fine in Abu Dhabi for no elevator maintenance contract. First diplomat from Telangana, who is India's new Consul General. Huda Katan reveals she and daughter have Lyme disease. €1 million lottery ticket recovered from trash. Wow. Recovered from trash. Let's see this news. Funny news. It's from €1 million lottery ticket was recovered from the trash in Italy after the frantic winner called on garbage man to help her retrieve, the waste management company told. The instant win ticket was miraculously still in one piece after garbage workers combed through mounds of trash on their truck, said Robert Niccolo, the administrator of the ASMB company in Italy's southern region. So he explained how when the winner went on Sunday to check her ticket at her local shop after the drawing, the machine indicated it was non-payable. That was because smaller retailers can only redeem small wins. But the woman, who remains anonymous, didn't realize she had won the big jackpot. The winner always played the same numbers as they were associated with a loud one. When she returned to home from the store, a family member told her that her regular numbers had won. The immediate ran back to the shop only to discover that the ticket had already been thrown away and the trash collected. She called Toscano. We reconstructed the journey of the ticket without much hope of finding it, as it had already been picked up by a garbage truck. With a stroke of luck, however, they managed to identify the right truck and stopped it. Given the risk posed by potentially dangerous material in the waste, they took the vehicle to a specialist company equipped to do the search. The workers searched for over a day, finding various tickets and ticket stubs. Amongst them was the stub we were looking for, which was miraculously still in one piece. When he told the winner they had found it, she cried with emotion. I would have hugged her, but we were on the phone. The averted disaster did not come for free. Assembly located in Bitonto outside Bari, a public agency, meaning that the cost of the search would have been borne by the taxpayers. Toscano said he had the woman sign a promise to cover all of the additional costs incurred, a gamble that certainly paid off. So this is funny, really funny. €1 million lottery ticket recovered from the trash. Turbulence on Air India flight injured 13 passengers. Let's see this news. Short news. Air India has confirmed that its flight operating from Phuket to Delhi on August 4 encountered a brief in-flight turbulence-related event, resulting in a momentary change in altitude. The airline released a statement saying that of 137 passengers and 8 crew members on the board, 13 and passengers and 4 crew members sustained injuries and were taken to hospital for the medical evaluation. Videos of the event have gone viral on the internet, with the Indian news agency ANI sharing footage of the passengers being disembarked from ambulances. Some media reports claim that the ambulances were stationed at the terminal gate along with wheelchairs ready to tend to passengers required medical assistance. Air India Express launched 4 new Indian destinations from Abu Dhabi. Let's see this news. As I have India flag also, because people from India, they are supporting me, they are following me on my social media journey, YouTube. So I'm really thankful to all the people from Asia, from Africa, who are supporting me on my YouTube and social media journey. So we recorded almost half an hour. The remaining half an hour, and then we will close our live on YouTube. For those traveling to India frequently, Air India Express is expanding its network from Abu Dhabi to the subcontinent. Air India Express expanded schedule include newly launched non-stop operations to Navi Mumbai, Indore and Lucknow. Next month it will introduce direct flights to Guwahati, scheduled to begin on August 7, offering a direct link to India's northeastern region. The expansion comes as passenger demand continue to grow across both business and leisure travel segments. The additional enhanced passengers travel option between the UAE capital and primary urban hubs across India, reinforcing Abu Dhabi's role as a strategic global aviation and tourism gateway. Ahmed Jumma Al-Shamisi, CEO of Abu Dhabi Airport, said the addition of these new routes by Air India Express underlines our commitment to expanding Zayed International Airport's destination network and serving the growing demand between the UAE and India. With the addition of Abu Dhabi, Air India Express will operate 30 weekly flights from Navi Mumbai, connecting the airport directly to Abu Dhabi, Bengaluru, and Delhi. The airline's presence across Maharashtra continues to expand, with more than 95 weekly flights from Mumbai, over 100 from Pune, and 14 from Nagpur. It also continues to operate one of the largest India-West Asia networks linking multiple Indian cities with destinations across Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. So this is the news from India and UAE. AFRiCA&ASiA General Manager at Pakistan. What is this? Let's see the Gulf News now. What it says. Gulf News is also the official newspaper from UAE and Dubai. Gulf News. So it says the US seeks Iran denuclearization in ultimate deal. What is this? Lebanon and Israel held US-sponsored talks in Rome as Beirut sought Israel's withdrawal. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Washington is seeking a long-term agreement with Iran centered on denuclearization, while efforts continue to secure the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and ease pressure on global energy markets. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said a deal could be reached as early as Wednesday, sending oil prices lower on hopes of reduced supply chain risks. Meanwhile, Lebanon and Israel held US-sponsored talks in Rome as Beirut pushed for a phased Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon. Iran-based European role in Hormuz mine clearance. A potentially significant shift may be emerging in negotiations over the Strait of Hormuz. After weeks of insisting that no foreign country would be allowed to participate in demining operations, Iran is now reportedly considering permitting European nations to remove naval mines from the strategic waterways as part of an arrangement to restore commercial shipping and revive diplomacy with the US, Bloomberg reported. Iraq exported 30 million barrels of crude via Hormuz in a month. Iraq exported over 30 million barrels of crude in 1 month, brought the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Data from the maritime tracking firm KPLR showed on the Tuesday. Before the Middle East war, which choked shipments through the vital waterway, Iraq produced around 4 million barrels per day and exported an average of 105 million barrels per month, mostly from its Basra oil terminal via Hormuz. Around 30 million barrels of Iraqi crude oil passed through Hormuz between July 4 and August 4, according to vessels detected by KPLR. Ali Nizar, the head of Iraq's state organization for marketing of oil, said in a TV interview Monday. US seeks Iran denuclearization in long-term deal. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Washington's long-term objective in negotiation with Iran is the country's denuclearization, while efforts continue to improve maritime security in the Strait of Hormuz. Speaking at the White House, Rubio said the strait remains open and commercial vessels are continuing to transit the vital waterway. There are stupid news, nonsense news always from US and Iran. Oil prices plunge on US-Iran deal hopes. Oil prices tumbled Tuesday after a top US official said Washington could soon reach a deal with Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, easing concerns over crude supply disruptions. Good, sir. Where you will be today? Where you will be? Just our brother is there.
Yeah, brother.
Just we will buy now.
No problem.
Send him.
Come. Let him finish the supervisor.
Okay, after that send him. Tell him. The main U.S. oil contract, West Texas Intermediate, dropped 5% to $76 a barrel, while the international benchmark Brent North Sea crude fell back below $80 a barrel. Thank God we are praying that this war should stop as soon as possible, because the world is suffering, the humanity is suffering, the Middle East is suffering, everyone is suffering, Pakistan is suffering, even the people of Iran, they are tired, they are suffering too much due to the nonsense of the clerics, hardliners. They don't use their minds, they don't use their brains, they are just doing stupid things. Qatar said mediators are focused on preventing further escalation, reopening of Strait of Hormuz and restarting diplomacy. Qatar Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari said the immediate goal is to reopen the door for diplomacy between the parties, stressing that mediators want to avoid a major regional escalation. U.S. Treasury Secretary says chance of Hormuz deal with Iran by Wednesday. So tomorrow is Wednesday. Treasury Secretary Scott said that the U.S. could reach a deal with Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by Wednesday, adding that this would stabilize energy prices. We are in talks with the Iranians, and I think there is a chance we may have a deal today or tomorrow to open the strait and move towards more normalized position in this conflict. Qatar says efforts ongoing for Iran-US resolution. Mediating nation, Qatar said efforts for a diplomatic solution between the US and Iran were ongoing, but that there were no direct talks between the sides planned. We can confirm that the efforts are still ongoing with all parties, Foreign Minister spokesperson said. Iran threatens to strike US Navy if state blockade continues. Mohsen Razai, military advisor to Iran's Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei, said Iran will not stand idle by and would not allow unauthorized routes through the Strait of Hormuz. The warning comes after the US reimposed a naval blockade last month. US Central Command said it had redirected 44 commercial vessels, disabled 2 and boarded 2 under the operation. Rezai accused Washington of violating a June Memorandum of Understanding and called for the return of Iranian funds and an end to actions that create insecurity in the strategic waterway. One missing as crew fights fire aboard ship hit in Hormuz. A crew member went missing while 2 others fought a fire aboard a vessel struck by an unknown projectile in the Strait of Hormuz, a British maritime security company said. The incident added to mounting concerns over the status of US-Iran talks to end the war and resume traffic in the key waterway. US President Trump insisted it could reopen within hours, while Iran said no talks with Washington were underway. Earlier, UK Maritime Trade Agency operations said the vessel reporting being hit by an unknown projectile, and authorities were investigating, adding that the incident occurred 20 nautical miles northeast of Al-Khashab, Oman.
Mr. Keddy.
How are you, bro?
How are you?
Yeah, fine.
I
He
want-
said you? He sent you? He told you? Security?
Yes, he told me.
He told you and you bring.
Let me first clean your office.
My office, you are
Because
not.
This is your office now.
You are not cleaning my office daily. What is this? Where is file? Why?
I'm not cleaning
You
your
are
office.
cheating me.
Bring soda.
Yeah, Coke? Is
Coke.
Coke or Pepsi? Plus a glass. There is a There is no impediment to a public meeting between Hezbollah and the Syria leadership at a time considered appropriate by both sides. Qasem said in a televised address, emphasizing the importance and necessity of positive fraternal cooperative relations. Hezbollah for years fought in support of long-time Syrian ruler Bashar in the country's civil war, and Syria served as a key supply route to Lebanon from Iran before the new authorities seized power in December 2004. Iran president says Tehran does not seek wider war. It's good. Sometimes they are stopping, they are talking logical, but most of the time they are talking stupid. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said Tehran has no intention of expanding the conflict but will defend the country's borders if threatened, according to state broadcaster AFRiCA&ASiA. Speaking at the launch of the second phase of Iran's family medicine and referral system national plan, Pezeshkian stressed.
Can you first remove gas physically?
From here?
I just want to finish. Don't you?
It's already finished.
Already finished?
Yeah. No problem. Here I will finish.
Okay.
I have tissues. I will finish.
Then half.
Okay. Okay. There is no. Also now is the time for prayer call here in AFRiCA. Hey Palwan. Syrian leadership at a time considered appropriate by both sides, Qasim said in a televised address, emphasizing the importance and necessity of positive turner. Iran president says, okay. Iran President Pezeshkian said Tehran has no intention of expanding the conflict but will defend the country's borders if threatened. Speaking at a launch of the second phase of Iran's family medicine, okay. We must strive to build a society where the enemy cannot harbor greed, cannot infiltrate and cannot divide or destroy our social fabric. Aramco chief says Houthi attacks on Saudi had no material impact. Iran in talks with Oman to create single two-way route through Hormuz. Iran in talks with Oman to set up a single two-way route through Strait of Hormuz to allow ships through the strategic waterway, according to Tehran's foreign ministry. That arrangement would replace the multiple separate lanes that shipping used in the strait, he said at a news briefing in Tehran on Monday. The negotiations.
YouTube
Nama आया
बार बार एक दफा दो बार बोला ही तो विच फंस गया है
मैनू
आ गिलास दे
मैं भी तो लाइव ही गल कर रहे हैं
और ना जावे
कि
आ गिलास
the negotiation between the two countries on मेरे को भी वो वाला कैमरा हैगा वो रिजल्ट बड़ा ज़बरदस्त उधर रिजल्ट बड़ा ज़बरदस्त
वो महंगा है ना
35,000 है मेरे को प्यार हूँ
समझ को देर में इलाक कर दिया
वो रिजल्ट कमाल है एंड साफ
लाइट होवेगा तो लाइट
HD मैं महीना को और वेट कर रहा हूँ उसके बाद मैं उधर वीडियो बना कर
मेरा एक दोस्त है
सेंड मी योर कमेंट्स प्लीज इन द कमेंट्स सेंड
यूएसए अमेरिका ਉਹਨੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਲਾਈਕ ਕਰ
ਤੂੰ ਬਣਾ ਰਿਹਾ
यूएसए ਵੀਡੀਓ ਪਾ ਦੋ
USA ਹੋਵੇ ਜਾਂ TSA ਹੋਵੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤੇ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਇਫ ਦੇ ਡੂ ਐਗਰੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ USA ਹੋ ਇੱਥੇ ਖਲੋ ਕੇ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ USA ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਵੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ
ਮਿਹਨਤ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਗਿਆ
ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇੱਕੋ ਜੀ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ 'ਚ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਲੋਕ ਕਰੋੜਾਪਤੀ ਹੋਏ
नहीं हो मामा टोर गया
इंडिया च बह गया मोटा गया
मोटा गया
इंडिया च बह के लोग यूट्यूब तो की रखी बन गए.
Ela lá.
Shipping traffic remains low through Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb. Shipping activity through the key choke points of the Strait of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb remained largely unchanged at the start of the week amid uncertainty over US-Iran negotiations, blah, 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 blah. Let's see some news from the Arab news, official news from Saudi Arabia. So the remaining only 15 minutes, then we are going to close. You are not coming, other guy is not coming. This glass for you. Take all this there. For you and him. Give me one. Give me one. You have glass there or no?
Yeah.
This is one only.
Find another one there.
I was looking for you and him. He is already there.
Yeah, you know when the supervisors are around.
Kill the supervisor and throw him there.
We do that again. That's in our hand.
Iran demands Hormuz inbound control and outbound oversight. Hamas voices unease over Board of Peace comment on the Gaza. 6 years after Beirut port blast, victims' families say oil takes up. US has used virtually all of its long-range precision missiles. Saudi Deputy Prime Minister meets Bangladeshi leadership ahead of PM's first Riyadh trip. Okay, so Bangladeshi Prime Minister is gonna visit Saudi Arabia also. On the anniversary of Kuwait's invasion, has Israel left found a new lease of life? Africa's energy curse is a political choice. What is this news? So Africa is facing one of the world's greatest energy windfalls. The continent holds roughly 125 billion barrels of confirmed oil reserves and more than 620 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Trillion, oh my God, 620 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, implying vast additional deposits still waiting to be discovered. At the same time, some 600 million Africans have no electricity at home, and this figure has not fallen since the COVID-19 pandemic. On current trends, it will still exceed 500 million in 2030. The problem is not geological but political. Every barrel of oil shipped from an African port to a European or Chinese terminal is a barrel not converted into kilowatts for an African household. Every long-term liquefied natural gas contract signed with a foreign utility committee commits gas that could be powering an African hospital, school, or factory. The choice between exporting hydrocarbons and using them to electrify the continent is highly consequential, yet almost never debated openly. That needs to change. The case for energy exports is clear enough. The continent depends heavily on imported food, medicines, capital equipment, and manufactured goods that is does not yet produce at scale. For many producer countries, oil and gas exports are the only reliable source of foreign exchange without which they cannot pay for those imports, service sovereignty that or maintain enough fiscal space to function. But the case for domestic use it is equally compelling. Nigeria holds enough natural gas to achieve 100% electrification within its borders, and gas to power projects across the continent have long demonstrated technical viability. The International Energy Agency estimates that achieving universal electricity access in Africa would require annual investment of $15 billion per 10 years, and though only $2.5 billion is currently being committed each year, domestically deployed hydrocarbons could help bridge the gap. In theory, these two options are economically equivalent. A government could export oil, invest the proceeds well, and use the returns to finance power infrastructure. A barrel exported at world prices and a barrel converted into electricity should produce the same national wealth if governance is sound and pricing is free. In reality, neither condition has been met. One major distortion is corruption. Rather than being invested in electrification, hydrocarbon revenues in most African producer states are regularly captured. Nigeria has generated more than $600 billion in oil revenues since the 1960s, while also recording one of the world's highest rates of extreme poverty. During oil boom years, Equatorial Guinea has achieved the continent's highest per capita gross domestic product, even as more than half of its population lives below the poverty line. All told, research tracking offshore bank accounts has found that about 15% of windfall gains flowing to petroleum producing countries with weak institutional safeguards ends up in the pockets of those in power. This easy money then becomes easy spending, but on elite luxury consumption, not public investment. Domestic energy subsidies are a second distortion. In many African producer states, consumers pay far less for fuel and electricity than the actual cost. Angola has the world's fourth cheapest retail gasoline. Nigeria's domestic gas prices have historically been held so low that building a gas-fired power plant is commercially pointless. These subsidies are not accidents. They are core instruments of the petro-state political economy. Diffuse benefit handed to populations that otherwise see little of the wealth nominally being extracted on their behalf. But subsidies also send a false signal to investors and governments, making energy exports appear economically superior to domestic use, even when the welfare arithmetic says otherwise. Recent geopolitical shocks are a third factor. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine severed some 80 billion cubic meters of annual gas supplies to Europe, and this year's Middle East war tightened LNG markets further. Suddenly, European governments were in Algiers, Dakar, and Maputo pleading for more supply. Algeria became the EU's second largest pipeline gas supplier in 2023, providing 20% of pipeline imports. behind Norway at 54% and ahead of Russia at 70%. Angola has directed LNG cargoes westward, and a new project of Mauritania and Senegal shipped its first cargo to Atlantic market in 2025. For African producers, the windfall has come in the form of both revenues and political cover. Governments now have internationally legitimized reasons to deepen their export orientation. Committing gas to Europe for 20 years can be framed as an act of solidarity and diplomacy rather than just a choice made at the expense of domestic electrification. There is a bitter irony here. Not only did European governments spending more than $640 billion shielding their citizens from the price consequences of the Ukraine crisis, but part of that expenditure boosted revenues for African producer governments, where funds flow upward to elites rather than outward to households without power. A reckoning is coming through. Africa's total population will reach 2.5 billion by 2050, and domestic energy demand is rising fast enough that the continent is projected to shift from a net energy exporter to a net importer by the early 2030s. It is not politically sustainable to have a young urban electricity dependent population confronting persistent blackouts in countries that are visibly resource rich. Moreover, the global energy transition is narrowing the window through which oil and gas can be exported at high price to willing international buyers. Something will have to give. The question is whether it happens through deliberate reform, institutions that constant rent capture, energy prices that reflect domestic opportunity cost, and revenues channeled towards electrification, or through the kind of mismanagement and instability that has historically plagued the continent's natural resources sector. Africans are not being asked whether they would prefer the foreign currency or the electricity, nor are they being told what choices are being made in their name by whom and for whose benefit. This silence is a political choice, and ending is where any serious reform must begin. So this was the editorial from Arab News for Africa electricity crisis, Africa's corruption, Africa's other problems. Africa is a huge continent, second largest in the world. So now the time is coming to close our live after more 2 minutes. Rubio says the US sees progress in Hormuz Strait talks, hopes for deal very shortly. Pakistan to host Iranian officials as Trump patience wears thin. AJK elections, voting concludes in 2 constituencies as PPP again alleges rigging. Dar departs for ministerial meeting in Jordan on deteriorating situation in occupied Jerusalem. Cop allegedly raped woman inside Lahore police station, entire staff suspended. All foreign media personnel to require NOC from Info Ministry for news coverage in Southside Islamabad, Lahore and Karachi. Palestinians, more than 112 people retrieved from rubble in the Gaza. Main Chelem procession concludes peacefully in Karachi amid heavy security. Wenger says scrapping Infantino's World Cup plan was absolutely necessary. SBP, State Bank of Pakistan, caps bank charges on digital sales of petroleum produce to minimize burden on fuel stations. NAB recovers 2.45 trillion rupees worth of state's assets in second quarter of 2026. The coffins come free here with the story. Double tap attacks, rising death tolls indicate Pakistan needs fresh counterterrorism strategy. So 1 hour is complete. Work on Islamabad Expressway extension project begins. Islamabad Expressway extension project begins. So now it's time to close our live because we completed 1 hour. 1 hour of recording our live on YouTube. Now it's time to go for prayer, and after prayer we go live on TikTok. So oil drops again after progress made on US-Iran talks on Strait of Hormuz, which is good actually. There should be some agreement. They should stop the war. There should be some relief to the world, to the Pakistan, to the Iran, to the Middle East, to every country, to all the people here who are suffering for 6 months due to this nonsense war. So now it's time to close our live. See you next time.